Ghost stories have become part of our lives, and yet we still don't have solid proof of whether they really exist or not. The following set of images might just change that. And stay tuned for number 1, as it's from my personal collection and has never been shared until now. These are the 6 most convincing ghost images ever captured. Number 6. Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. Considered for her time as one of the most famous hauntings in Great Britain, the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall remains familiar to many people. Owned by the Townshend family, Raynham Hall became the home of Charles Townshend in 1713. He was known for having a fiery temper and ended up marrying Dorothy Walpole, who was the sister of Britain's first Prime Minister, Robert Walpole. It was to be the second marriage for Townshend and Dorothy's first. But rumors began to spread of how Dorothy was once the lover of Lord Wharton, a royal playboy. Enraged, Charles supposedly locked Dorothy in Raynham Hall, forbidding her to leave and telling everyone that she had died. He even went as far as holding a mock funeral for her, but secretly she was a prisoner inside the hall until her death from smallpox in 1726. The first sighting of the Brown Lady was in 1835 during Christmas celebrations, when a guest of the hall proclaimed seeing a lady dressed in brown. Another man said the same thing, and that as he approached her, she turned around and, as he described, had a glowing face, but where her eyes should have been, there were only empty sockets. A year later, a friend of Charles Dickens, Captain Frederick Marriott, stayed at Raynham Hall to disprove the rumors that it was haunted. But instead he saw the Brown Lady walk past a corridor and stopped on her own accord right by the door where the captain was standing. He held up his lamp only to find the lady grin in a malicious and diabolical manner. He was so infuriated he grabbed a revolver and fired a shot straight to her face. She instantly disappeared and the bullet lodged itself on the inner door on the opposite side of the hall. But it was the experience of Captain Provand and Indre Shira that would solidify her legacy in paranormal lore. The two captured the most famous image of the Brown Lady while they were at Raynham Hall on assignment for Country Life magazine. They were preparing for a shot of the staircase when Indre felt an unnatural presence and asked the captain to take the shot immediately. He did, and when they developed the film, they realized they had captured the Brown Lady herself descending from the staircase. The same image was published in Country Life magazine in 1936 to much amazement. Even today, it leaves many people wondering how exactly such an image can exist, unless ghosts do too. Number 5. Spirit after an accident. The human soul is an abstract concept for many, but what if it's real? And what if what we see as ghosts is simply a remnant of this? These questions and more gain huge traction after a man captured what seems to be the soul escaping from the body. Sal Vasquez is a truck driver who came across an accident scene on a Tuesday evening while he was on Highway 15 near Stanton, Kentucky. Like most observers who were stuck in traffic because of the accident, he couldn't help but watch as the police and ambulance responded to the scene. He decided to snap a photo using his smartphone from his truck, and to his surprise he captured something unexpected. He uploaded the unusual image to Facebook, and by the next morning the picture had gone viral. The grainy shot shows the accident with ambulances and people huddled around what looks to be the victim. Right above the state trooper, in between the ambulance and close to the trees, you can make out a distinct white human-shaped figure. It seems to be hovering above the victim's body, so could this actually be his soul escaping? Police reports did say that the accident involved only one victim. He was taken to a nearby hospital where he was officially pronounced dead, but may have actually passed away at the scene. Whoever or whatever the entity Vasquez managed to capture is, there's no doubt it's a strange and unusual sight. Number 4. The Pink Lady of Green Castle. Today, the O'Hare Mansion no longer exists. This luxurious mansion in Greenfield, Indiana, has been demolished to make way for a cornfield. Even though the physical structure is no longer there, it still remains the scene to one of the most convincing captured ghost images ever. Guy Winters, along with a few friends, thought it would be interesting to visit the abandoned mansion and hunt down ghosts. The mansion was built in the 1800s and has been called home by the O'Hare family and their descendants for centuries. Eventually, they left the building abandoned, and the home is only accessible through a single driveway. That evening, almost every person in Guy's group experienced something paranormal while exploring the place. They felt cold spots and even caught a ghostly vapor on camera passing through the hallway. Guy himself took pictures all over, including the upstairs where he was the only one brave enough to check out. He recalled feeling a bit uneasy while taking the pictures, including a pulsing in his head. He didn't notice anything else unusual, that is, until he had the pictures developed. On various frames, Guy caught what appears to be several possible ghosts. The first was a lady captured through the bay window of the mansion. She's dubbed as the Gold Lady because of the golden glow she's emanating. However, the second set of images was even more convincing. Through the back doorway, a translucent figure of a woman in pink can be seen. What's fascinating is that she is captured in 3 consecutive frames that Guy snapped. Further examination of the film shows the figure shows up in the negatives and was not superimposed or manipulated on there. Guy came forward with his images, and soon a descendant of the O'Hares reached out saying she might know the identity of the lady they captured. A woman named Mary said the pink lady was her mother, Irene O'Hare. It's also her bedroom window where she was captured staring back at the photographer. Expert analysis of the film show a very distinct skull-like shape emanating from the figure in the negatives, which they say makes tampering with the images next to impossible. Number 3. The Wedding Day Ghost. If the paranormal experts are to be believed, ghosts often visit their family members, particularly during special occasions, but capturing one on your wedding day is a whole new level. A reader named Liz sent this photo to Stephen Wagner, who runs a popular paranormal page on About.com, asking what he thought about the picture. She shares that the image had been passed on for generations in her family, and that it was taken on her aunt's wedding day in 1942 using a box camera. The image shows a couple smiling in an outdoor scene. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until you look closely in the background towards the right side of the picture. Right there in the tree, you'll see a distinctive figure floating towards the two. When you see it for the first time and realize it's there, it's quite shocking. The ghost seems to be floating toward the couple with an extremely menacing look, enough to make you step back. Could this really be a ghost haunting the couple? Perhaps a deceased relative who doesn't approve of their holy union? Wagner offered his idea on what the image portrays. He says if it's not a clever hoax, then it could be an extraordinary example of pareidolia, where you assign form and figure to unique shadow shapes. If it's not that, then it could just be a genuine ghost. Number 2. Lord Combermeres' Ghost. It was 1891. Lord Combermere had just died and his funeral was taking place several miles from home. Amateur photographer Sybil Corbett thought it was a great time to take a photo of the interior of the abbey without being disturbed by a lot of activity. The members, including most of the servants, were, after all, attending the funeral. She set up her camera inside the Combermere Abbey Library, where she rigged it for a long exposure, hoping to take advantage of the lovely natural light that flowed in from the windows. The abbey itself had been around since 1133 and was built by monks, so the interior detail of the room and the home is a photographer's paradise. However, Corbett would capture more than the gorgeous beauty of the room. When she developed the film, she was surprised and shocked that she had captured what looks like to be a man sitting in a chair. She showed it to people in the home, and they said it could have been Lord Combermere himself visiting his house one last time to sit in his favorite chair. In the image, you can clearly make out a torso and also an arm. Skeptics say that because of the long exposure, it's possible someone from the house, not realizing a picture is being taken, sat for some time on the chair without Corbett or any others seeing them. However, most of the staff attested that they were at the funeral, and Corbett herself informed those in the home that she was taking the photograph and was not to be bothered. Lord Combermeres' ghost or not, whoever was sitting on that chair has created a truly memorable and frightening image. Number 1. Waverly Hills Ghost. This last one is 100% real, meaning it wasn't doctored, and very scary for that exact reason. Last spring, I went on a ghost tour down in Savannah, Georgia at the old Sorrel Weed House. It was a slow night there, and so the only people on the tour were my wife and I and a middle-aged couple named Mark and Liz. The tour lasted several hours, so we got a chance to get to know them. Similar to us, they enjoyed checking out haunted places and were avid ghost hunters, but we're not all that serious about it, more curious than anything else. They've been to many places all around the country and taken lots of videos and pictures and sound recordings. So naturally I asked them if they had ever caught anything, and that's when Liz told me the one place they actually captured something was at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. If you want all the details about Waverly Hills, then you can check out our top 5 most disturbingly haunted asylums and hospitals video. That's where we did a segment on it. But briefly, Waverly Hills was a huge sanatorium built in the early 1900s in Kentucky that mainly housed tuberculosis patients. The place was overcrowded and there were many horror stories as to the mistreatment of patients. Nearly 9,000 people died in there while it functioned. To dispose of the bodies conveniently, they had built what is now called the body chute. It was essentially a slide that ran to the basement where bodies would literally pile up before being disposed of. So when Liz and Mark visited, they were able to go down to the basement, and that's where they took a lot of pictures. They said when you're taking photos while ghost hunting, you want to refrain from using the flash as it can cause light reflections and wash out what is potentially there to capture. So about a week after I returned from the trip, Liz emailed me the picture, and when I opened it up, I was amazed. She had taken the picture in an almost completely pitch-black hallway deep down in the basement. The only light source is in the background, which is coming from the body chutes that's opening was on the floor above and near a window. Clearly, there appears to be 2 people standing and looking towards them. I lightened it up a bit to see as much detail as I could. The one on the right side looks like it's wearing some sort of gown, which would make sense since patients then often wore medical gowns. Until this, every picture of a ghost I had seen was on a show or on the internet, which makes it hard to grasp just how real it is. This was the first photo that I had ever received from someone I knew personally that showed what looks like ghosts. I was completely floored when I saw it, and thought you guys would appreciate seeing it too. So there were the 6 most convincing ghost images ever captured. If ghosts are in fact living among us, then by their very definition, there will never be evidence of their existence. But with these pictures, the thousands of stories, and a little bit of faith, it's very hard to deny that they aren't real. If you liked this video, then please remember to subscribe to our channel, and each Sunday we'll bring you a new scary mystery to enjoy. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.